Hey everyone, I am back at last. Now, if you want to create your own interior MLO in GTA 5, but you are a zero zilch complete nobody in 3D or modding or GTA 5, I strongly, firmly, and arrogantly believe that this is a video in the world that you should start with. Now, I've covered multiple softwares for multiple topics on multiple languages, so this video kind of serves as my farewell to GTA 5. Now I want to be participating in GTA 6. We'll see how it goes. In this video, I do want you guys to get to the root of things, to feel how things work in your grasp. It will be a long one. I can't be bothered. Just join me for this ride and let us continue. First things first, go to blender.org to download Blender itself. Blender 5.0 is here. Wow, that's crazy. Then go to the second link, which is a GitHub for Sollumz. Now, Sollumz is a plugin and add-on that we use for Blender in order to work with Rage Engine. Now, Rage Engine itself is a physics of GTA 5, 6, the engine, even Red Dead Redemption, in which the games operate in. In order to work with GTA format, we need to download this plugin. It is a necessity. You go to releases for latest release. Obviously, you scroll to very down to sollumz.zip. Now you just click it and download anywhere on your PCs that you will find it. I downloaded to downloads. Then you open up your Blender. If you have anything in your scene, just hit A for selecting all and then X for deleting. Now you have your empty scene here. Go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons. Click Install, go to Downloads, select your sollumz.zip. You literally don't even have to unarchive it. Install add-on, then just search it here and check it. Now from here, just restart your Blender and you're good to go. Now for complete beginners, I will literally be naming all the hotkeys and buttons I press on my keyboard so you guys have better understanding of what's going on. A little bit about navigation. So in order to rotate view, hold the middle mouse. In order to pan, hold shift middle mouse. And in order to zoom, just scroll your middle mouse, alright? If you would want to change those, go to Edit, Preferences, Key Map. You can change your pan right here, middle mouse section. Or if you want to change hotkeys, go to CD View, Global. Right? Now that that's off the table, literally let's start the GTA 5 stage. For the next step, now that we established our 3D platform where we edit the very geometry of things, next thing we're actually gonna have to do is learn how to navigate through existing GTA 5 files. In order to do that, obviously everything had been created long before you, so go to Discord. I will leave a link to this Discord channel in my description, or you can literally just search CodeWalker Discord. Now, CodeWalker is a very software, the crucial software we're going to use. It's very simple in order to navigate or browse through GTA files. Now, literally just download it and let's unzip it. After you unzip your CodeWalker, what you see is this. Now, what you're interested in for now is CodeWalker.exe. You open it, it's gonna launch right here in the bottom. It says scanning update. What it does is literally opening all the DLCs currently present in GTA 5, all the latest ones, all the vehicles, every single model. You are kind of inside engine in a simulation, sort of. You'll see it in a second. It has very simple navigation now that we loaded in. What you see is us actually spawning on 000 world coordinates. That's why we're here. It's no surprise. Now the navigation is very simple actually. It draws something from 3D softwares like Blender, for example. Obviously props to DexFX for making this. Left click for rotating. Right click for changing day and night. WASD, right click, left click. You'll learn it pretty quick for moving. Shift for accelerating if you wish. Now T for toolbar, pretty simple. Toolbar is right here. It's shifted for my 4K screen for some reason. I didn't report this bug. I couldn't bother, but for you it will fit perfectly. So toolbar, is pretty simple again. Let's talk about it in just for a minute so you understand how CodeWalker works and the very workflow between CodeWalker and Blender. It is extremely crucial. This toolbar mimics 3D software toolbar in a way. So you have your cursor. Again, try and learn hotkeys because they're kind of self-explanatory. Cursor starts for C, so C is a hotkey. Now, after you enable your hotkey, you see a lot of boxes around. Now, what this is actually the boundary of objects. This is how we select things. Now, if we were to select this lantern, how do we move it? Well, you can click W, hit W, just click right here, and you have your cursor enabled for selecting and your move tool. Well, you move it. You can move it anywhere. E, literally next tool for rotating it anywhere on any axis. Now there's also scaling tool. I don't suggest using it in the CodeWalker because dynamic scaling is hard for object with bones or embedded collisions. You will have to disable collisions with bones. Just generally try and not to scale props until you are experienced. All right, just don't use scaling in CodeWalker. Better to use it in 3D engine to start with, like Blender. Now, those pretty much everything you need to know about CodeWalker for now, for us to start working with it. Now, how do we actually implement this into Blender? How does this software help us? Any other, like more than any other software, or for us just literally just launch GTA and work in the same place? Now let me show you. If you were on NoPixel or whatever server you consider great for some reason, and you get tasks for in adding interior over here, adding interior somewhere here, how would you actually be doing that? Now let us work in this particular task, right? We have to edit or enter some interior somewhere you get tasked with. So in our case, let's take the legendary pin cage, the area of best GTA 5 days in my opinion, the model itself. Now let's add a room to this model, actually an enterable room. In order for us to do that, we have to grab this very model, the exterior, to start embedding our interior into it. So in order to do that, what you do is hit Control N for opening CodeWalker project. Now this project window is kind of a save mode, how you save things and edit files itself. Before that, you weren't actually editing anything. You'll see in a second. Now we opened it, and now suddenly if we start to selecting and dragging things, it will be opening larger, broader files, combination of file chunks in which those files are combined in, located in. All right, consider it as an archive in which multiple objects called entities are spawned. Now what we care about actually right here is obviously our exterior. So right now I grabbed some decal, some dirt. It's pretty large. It will be happening every time you work with any exterior. You will be grabbing multiple objects at once before you actually go to your exterior. Now let's try this again. Okay, is this our object? This is actually our object now. Now that I know this is the one, I go to archetype, which for now you can just think of as object name. I copy object name, and what I do next is go to my CodeWalker and launch, instead of CodeWalker.exe, CodeWalker RPF Explorer. Now it's scanning all the files again, and this is where we browse through existing vanilla files. So as you might have guessed, we copied the file name, we go to our browser, and we paste it, and we search it. Now don't be scared. As you see here, our decal opened here, some other decal and stuff, but we need our precise name. And what we care about is YTR. Now Y is GTA format, D stands for drawable, and R stands for Rage Engine. So you care for the letter in the middle. So YBN, boundary, would be collision. YFT would be fragment, an object that can explode, very hard physics, skeleton like bottles, cars, etc. YTD stands for texture dictionary, so it's actually very self-explanatory. You don't have to learn it, just try and understand it. So what we care about is YTR, drawable as the model itself. You can double click it and you will make sure this is the model we want. What you do is you let's create a folder to where we will export it. What I usually do is create a folder on my desktop. Let's call it very first. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. Very first MLO. Inside here, my workflow is usually I create a folder called initial, where I import raw files, and I call the folder called progress. Now, if you're a starter, it is extremely crucial that you save all your steps. So inside my progress, I create some steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, where I export files where I make any changes to them. You will make mistakes, go back and forth, lose files multiple times when you start. So I suggest, you strongly recommend saving steps. So once we establish some folders here, go to initial, copy the path, go back to RPF Explorer, right click, export XML. So literally we'll export the RAGE format to XML format you can open with your notepad, as simple as that. Now paste your path, and as I said, you can literally open it with your notepad, and you already see things going on here. You don't have to understand this for now, but this is what we're going to need to import. Again, copy this path again. You go to Blender. Now hit V. Now V is our round menu for Sollumz, a shortcut if you wish. What we need for now is import CodeWalker XML. As you may have guessed, we go back to our path and import our model. Now that was fast and quick and sexy, but we don't have our textures here, right? It will be problematic to work with. So what you do is you hit your third viewport shading, like round object here, but we still have some texture missing. Now what is that? In order to import every single texture that's attached to model, what you actually have to do is go back to your CodeWalker, open your model, and in here it has all the textures here. So you click to this up left, then just go to materials, save all textures. You can see them listed here, and as you may have guessed, you save them to the same destination. It's just more useful in my case to keep it all in one place, but you could create a folder called textures and import them here if you want. It doesn't matter. You can also export shade textures. It's for cars because they use the same dials in the interior of the cars, etc. It wouldn't do anything, but you could if you want. Now go back to Blender, and in order for you don't need to re-import your model. Just navigate to those textures. In order to do that, again, hit V, find missing textures, and go to the same destination, textures, find missing textures, and it's done. Now actually, if you would want to work with this more comfortably, you need to see the geometry itself, how the things are divided here. It's not single object for those that are very new to this. In order to do this, click here and hit wireframe. Now you see the division here among the geometry and how this actually works. I recommend you hitting right click and add to quick favorites. And for face orientation, it's the direction in which all the polygons look. I suggest doing the same. Right click, add to quick favorites. Now you don't have to open this window every time. You just hit Q for quick favorites, and yeah, I can go just Q click for wireframe, Q face orientation for making sure my orientation is correct. It's the direction of my normals. I will explain that later on. And now with our wireframe selected, we can actually start modeling things. Wow, that's crazy. You can literally select any room you would want to add interior in. Let's say this is the one we want to be editing. Now if you have a lot of light sources, you can, light sources are those like you see around a lot of spheres. I'm sure you don't like it being in your viewport, so what you can do is open your hierarchy here. This is your object that we just imported. Open your hierarchy, you see a bunch of things. This is your model, the very geometry. What you can do is just selecting all of your lights, select hierarchy and H for height. Now, in order to start actually manipulating your geometry, like the division you see here, we kind of need to enter edit mode. Now, your up left, you see this object mode, but it's not gonna work. You actually can't select anything. In order to switch to your edit mode with your model selected here, go to tab. Now you have your edit mode selected. Now here you can switch between vertices, which is 1, 2 for edges, and 3 for polygons. Polygons meaning those big chunks of divisions, right? Now we need those polygons to, for example, select our door and delete it. And this way we will be able to create our actual physics door to enter the interior. Because this door is actually fake. It's just a texture, much like this window is a texture, those bricks is a texture. So it's not actually functional. In order for us to enter our interior here, we have to remove those polygons first. So you enter your edit mode by clicking tab, go to polygons by hitting 3, selecting a polygon, go X for delete, and selecting faces. Now faces are polygons. Now we could rotate our way inside, but this is not very much comfortable. If you have issues zooming in and out of things in Blender, go to edit, preferences, and go to, I think it's navigation, depth. Enable depth, and you will be able to scroll into things more confidently. Now we have to zoom inside to work, but again it's not that comfortable. So what I suggest you doing first is to select upper polygons by left clicking and holding your shift, and then clicking H for hide. Now you actually see things from above now, which is way more comfortable from 2D standpoint. We didn't delete them. It's important, we just hidden them. If you would want to bring them back, just Alt H for reversing your hide, but let's hide them. Hide those polygons, the roof. Now we can actually start building our geometry. We're very confident, we know what we're doing. Let's start building our geometry from here, our interior. What you do now is creating geometry. I suggest, and this is a technique I use, once you zoom inside any room, any building, you grab the corner of that building to start building your interior. You will see how that makes sense in a second. What I suggest you doing is clicking 2 in your edit mode to go for edges. And now we can actually start moving things. Now in order to move things, you can hit go on your keyboard, G, hotkey G, and you will be able to move your edges. Much like if you were in vertex mode, 1, you would be able to manipulate your vertex and etc. So go G and just move your mouse. But you can constrain your move, which is very comfortable in Blender. How do you constrain it? While clicking G, hitting G, you can also hit your axis. So for example Y, and now I can only move it on Y, or on X, or on Z, which is so much comfortable. You'll see it in a second. And now we can actually start working on this. But if I were to start creating my walls, go G, Y, I actually move geometry instead of adding one. What we need is move and add at the same time. So what you need to do now is go to E button, stands for extrude. So you select your corner, go extrude, not random direction, but x-axis. You extrude it just slightly, so we don't bump into this window here. Intersecting geometry is bad. And after you extrude it a little on this axis, you extrude it, again extrude on y-axis. Now if we hit go G, instead of extruding, what would have happened is this, you see? It's actually bad because our geometry alters. It skews. We don't need it to skew. We need 90 degrees walls like in real life. So we go extrude Y. We add geometry. Okay. Now let's say this is the boundary of our room. You do the same thing for the other corner. Try and extrude it a little for X. Then extrude it for Y. you could try and make sense of dimensions right now if you want, but if you're just practicing, just don't care, try not care that much about how things are precise or not. Now we need to extrude it toward us, right? So extrude x, ex. Then we do the same story here, ex. Pretty simple, right? Now for this, you kind of want them to match, right? It would be skewed wall. So how do we actually snap them so they are on the same axis, our two walls? There are tools, obviously, to make this precise. This is you're kind of starting to dive into more advanced techniques. So there's kind of a magnet mechanics. It actually has a magnet icon. You go to the middle up here, go to snapping, vertex, enable your snapping, and click this magnet. What you can do now is click go or Y and snap it to somewhere, to here, to here. Look for my cursor to here, or to here in our case, and it will automatically fall into the same axis, same direction as our wall. Wow, that's great. That was pretty easy. Now let's connect them. You don't need to extrude them manually. You can just select two corners and click F for fill. Control Z. What you can alternatively do is right click, bridge edge loops. Okay, just learn flexibility. Different techniques do same things. That's how you 3D actually. Now from here, we're starting to have our shell kind of existing, but we need our ceiling and we need our floor. Let's start with our floor. As you may have guessed, just hit F, it wouldn't work. You need to select two edges, now hit F, and it would work. You have your floor here. If you would want to do the same for the ceiling, that's rookie mistake. The thing is, obviously your ceiling is not the same height as your doorway. What you do first is select every single edge. You can double click, or if you're not that confident, just select it all manually with shift held, and select every single edge that will be your ceiling soon. Now if we hit go Z, again, this is bad. It creates a skew that we do not want. You go extrude Z. You create additional geometry that separates your doorway from your ceiling. And only now you can hit F by selecting both corners of your roof. Now we have this here that's still not filled. Just fill it. It's the same way. Okay, we have minor issues here. This is connected to the fact that our walls were skewed. In order to fix this, what we're gonna have to do is go to our vertices, select them right here. Now we have our snaps, magnets enabled. Go, X, same axis. All right. Do the same for this, because obviously they can have a skew. And now you can safely fill. Alternative technique is copy pasting your floor. If you're unexperienced, don't do that, but if you're experienced, you know how to achieve that, right? There are hidden stones, hidden techniques that you may be unaware of if you would want to just copy and paste your floor. But now once we fixed our skew, if we were to fill and then do the same story over here again, you will see that it nicely falls into place. Now from here, what I suggest you doing is again hiding your ceiling so you see what's going on inside your interior, because I remind you, over here we still have unfinished business. Bridge edge loops, or F for fill. Now isn't that amazing? Literally right here, if you go back to your object mode by hitting tab, again, if you have problems zooming, edit, preferences, enable apps under your navigation, you can already see this is how it's going to look in game. you can enter your own personal room. How amazing is that? Now let me teach you how to add a window, because this is very important and cool. Every interior should have windows. I'm gonna show how it works just in a second, and then we're gonna go into texturing. You guys would be surprised about the energy this takes. I had to go for the lunch break, but let us continue with cutting out our window. First things first, I don't like how awkward this looks. So let's select this polygon, go X, and snap it to here. So now we have a plain wall. In order to cut our window over here, obviously, as you may have guessed, first delete these polygons of exterior, and now we have our interior, but now we have to cut the same hole inside our interior. So in order to do that, we have to shorten the distance a little, or alternatively, we could move the exterior closer. What I suggest you doing is try perhaps and do both. It depends on your situation. What we could start with is move it a little closer, and then we could move our window if you would want it to, because you likely want the smooth, seamless transition, right? So Alt-Z for transparency mode, for selecting things more easily. Now you can just go X like so. It's pretty good. You can now select those edges, simply bridge add loops or fill, doesn't matter. So now if you go inside, we now have to cut it. And you guys already see where to cut it actually. In order to do that, you could use Boolean. I don't like using Boolean. I know some people do. What I suggest doing is manual work. So what you do is go to your edit mode, hitting tab again, and select all of your wall, go K for kniff, and right here you can cut your geometry literally, manually. So again, Alt-Z for transparency before using your cut. And you can kind of see, in my case, snaps don't work correctly. It snaps to edges, but even though I have my vertices enabled, but if you're in your case, snaps work, cut it with snaps. If not, you can cut it approximately. I will show you why in a second. You guys will understand how this works. So we have it all skewed, connected, enter for it to work, Alt-Z to leave this mode. Now delete this weird polygon. What you do next is you select your vertices, go Y, and make sure they aren't skewed. So you now make them planar on the same axis, so you don't actually have things that are fucked, you know. Now it's way better. Make sure everything is on the same axis, right? So I use my snaps, go Y. This here is unnecessary vertex at all. I'm just gonna embed it to here, as well as this one. It doesn't create anything, it's just a random vertex that eats my GPU. So I'm just gonna connect it to here. Same should be done here, but that's not the point right now. Let's finish with this window over here. Okay, I see I think it's now has all the correct axes. That's how you cut things out. This again is unnecessary vertex. What you do next is restore your geometry. So everything has to be interconnected. Like you see vanilla geometry, it connects everywhere. You see one thing goes into another. It's a constant flow. This is called topology in 3D modeling. So in order to restore our topology, we have to make sure we connect things properly, like so. This is connected already. Where it's not connected, you select two vertices and press F. Again, for your vertices, for one, with your shift selected. So obviously that now has correct topology, that has good rectangle, cut it out. What you do now, obviously, as you guys may have guessed, you just go to your vertices and you go Z. Oops. Go Z. Go Y. Go Z. Go. Oops. Select multiple. If it's not, it's called welded. So right now we have multiple vertices in one spot. What you could do is move, is go Alt Z, select several, and move it like so. Or you can select them and merge them, weld them by right-clicking, merge by distance. And now we select it, there's only one vertex. So there were two vertices in one spot, we welded it into one. And now you can do all the same tricks here, where I'm at. I'm lost. We go back here. Classic, go, this is not welded as well. Let's select it, go Y, go Z. Do the same here. We're gonna weld it afterwards, so don't worry. Now you have what you have here. If you go back to object mode, it's clear window. Now what extremely crucial, and this is a necessity, you have to make sure not a single part of exterior enters your interior. So what I suggest you doing, if you have things like this white part of balcony going on, what you do is select its vertices and move it out of your interior. Again, this is a necessity, it will not work. And you move it out a little so it doesn't intersect with your interior. Again, you can use snaps for that. That's way better. Now that we have our window done and our entrance here working, this is looking pretty good. What I suggest us doing now is slight texturing, not crazy, slight texturing here and there, and then we're actually gonna be diving into more technical stuff, and we're basically done. Now, because our interior is part of the exterior, it already shares materials, textures, right? You guys see here, it's purple, but we want our own textures and we want them wrapped correctly the way we like it. So first things first, in order to work with the materials, you have to head to Materials tab over here, Material Properties. Inside here you have all materials that are part of your model that attach to it. Now again, it has all the materials here because the exterior has it, and we are still editing our exterior. We didn't separate anything from anything for now. Now, if you want to change your textures from existing textures, you can literally select anything and go like, assign a roof to this. And this one is actually a roof texture. In order to see it clearly, what you have to do is wrap it. How do we wrap it? Select any polygon, go to UV editing. In here, you can see it as well. Whoop. In here, while you're on your left, hit A, U, Q projection. We can already see it over here. Go S and scale it. I mean, again, this is educational purpose. It doesn't have to look that bad, but the point is you can scale it by holding S, or SY for one axis, SX for another axis, whatever you guys want that's looking good. I literally just found in GTA files other textures, so if you would want to create your own custom texture, what you could do is go N, Sollumz tools, this is our plugin, drawables, because we work with drawables, YDR, shader tools, because we created our own shader, and just click default, create shader material. Now after you create your shader material, assign it to the floor, for example, and after that just scroll down. It's very simple. To the Sollumz tab, always look for the Sollumz tab, go to texture parameters, and it will ask you to select that texture. I just dropped the same to the same destination, few textures. of my own I found in game. Let's say this, just a carpet. And again, obviously we have to wrap it. Go to UV editing, UV wrap, cube projection, etc, etc. However you feel that it will work. I'm a technical artist. I'm bad at design, as you guys see. So now that let's say you want to select all of the polygons instead of like wrapping this, wrapping that. Click on any polygon that you want to edit. Go to Material tab and click Select, and it will select all the polygons that are part of your object. Now it's a little awkward right now because it also selects exterior objects. So I wouldn't want to change it just now, but you could try and do Control L. And now with Control L, you can select linked as a seam, as a material, on angle, whatever. But this one works in this case better. So you either select by material if your object is a separate object, or just go Control L. And it selects by, well, I told you, separate techniques. And now with everything selected, again, you can go back, you're editing, select everything, U, cube projection, and you guys can dynamically see how this affects your interior, how this looks, etc, etc, etc. Again, search your own textures, make sure it's looking good on your end. I'm doing this for educational purpose. Let's bring back our ceiling and paint it to some random shit. Obviously, would be great to cube projection it. What a magnificent... This actually looks like the design I would make, let's be honest. So let's leave our blue ceiling. Our dark floor, I think it matches perfectly here. So let's now dive into technical stuff. How do we... This is actually, I would say, the most important step you will see right now. So imagine this is your interior. How are you actually going to try and position it? Imagine it's under angle, etc, etc. How are you gonna try and make sure where you enter is where the entrance is? It's very not obvious to newbies, and it's extremely crucial. Instead of trying and match things very not precise and in a bad way, what you have to do is cut like a knife in the beginning to start with. And the only correct technique is by recording coordinates, writing them down literally from your CD software. I'm going to show exactly the precise way that you're going to be using every time on how to achieve that perfectly. So let's say we have this exterior, but as you see, it's now in the center of my Blender map where I have my 0, 0, 0 coordinates, right? This is your start of your Blender, literally 0, 0, 0. How do you make sure that this object, this exterior, stays in the same place where it stays in game? Well, if you go to item, there's location of the object, and what you can do is open your CodeWalker back, go to this object again, select it, and literally copy paste those X, Y, Z, rotation Z into here. But instead of doing manual work, even though I want you to understand how that's done, let's just export the file that holds those coordinates automatically. So even though we do things automatically, we have to understand what we're doing. We're gonna, once you select your object, as I told you, we see chunks of entities over here, combination of them. This is used to optimize things, to load and deload props, multiple props at the same time. But what you're interested in is this YMap that's opened once you select your object, and this means this YMap holds information about your exterior. So you copy its name where it says name. As you may have guessed, you go for your CodeWalker, paste, export the one that weighs more, any destination where you will find it. Why map? Well, map stands for map exterior objects. It's easy to remember. It's stuff that's placed on the map. What you do now, again, V, import CodeWalker XML, always the same shit. YMap XML, import, and voila. Actually, what just what now happened is funny. It transitioned it and created another object. Go Control Z. Make sure once you import, you don't have instant entities, and try that again. Now it transports the actual object. If it's too far from your Blender scene, stuff starts to disappear. Go to your view and make it like 25,000. Now it's way more comfortable to work. Select your object, and now it's exactly, if you go to item, in the world coordinates, as if it was right here. These correct precise coordinates as well as rotation is stored in the highest hierarchy right here. This is a dummy, just an empty object, highest hierarchy. Model is just object properties, rotation, position, stuff like that. Pretty much it does the same thing in Blender as this highest hierarchy. And this green one is mesh data, meaning the geometry itself. And you have textures later on. So that was a little bit about the hierarchy. You have your YMap imported here. You can see it here. And created a bunch of car gens. This is where cars spawn. You can literally delete those. And now what we do is, since our exterior is in the world coordinates, that means that our interior will be in the world coordinates as well, and we will paste it exactly because we started building it from the exterior. Now you see what the technique was, right? So select your interior, again go to edit mode, and what I suggest you doing, Control L would more certainly work. If not, just select stuff, finish selecting stuff manually. So as I told you guys, it is extremely crucial to detach interior from exterior. It is a necessity. So make sure you detach all the parts that you consider part of your room, like so. I just clicked hide to make sure. This one I hide, I delete this, I don't need it. I noticed I don't want this is unnecessary geometry, I go Alt H. So again, make sure you only detach the part that's nothing is intersects with the exterior itself. Should be very, very separate. It is important. Once you have your shit selected correctly, what you do is right click, separate selection, which just detaches your custom geometry from vanilla geometry. Whoop. And now we can select it separately. We can hide this, and we literally have our interior separately here. Now let's, if we go back to our hierarchy, what you see is our exterior is still the only object in our scene. But if our interior is separate, how is it we don't have it on our scene explorer? So that's some Blender shit. I don't like the hierarchy as well. What you have to do is open this up, find your interior under the same name as exterior was, and you may think, I need to undrag it. It wouldn't work. You need to click shift, you do it, it doesn't work because it clears your transform. So Control Z, what you have to do is special combination Alt P, so you detach it, clear the parent-child relationship while keeping the transformation, meaning XYZ coordinates, in your scene. Click it. Now you have it separated and it exists in Scene Explorer. All right. Now next thing is go to modifier, delete all this shit you don't need. Go to if you have anything under constraints, remove constraints as well, and also color attributes, delete all of those. We're gonna make our own custom ones, so that your geometry doesn't depend anyhow with your exterior, because as I told you, it's now a separate object. And you may have thought, oh wow, that's crazy. Now those are the coordinates that I'm gonna record to paste my interior. Practically you are correct, but you're missing a step. The thing is, right now it tries to record the same coordinates if I select my exterior to your interior, but it can't be right. How can they share the same coordinates? I wouldn't have detached it otherwise. So the thing is, it calculates your coordinates from the thing called pivot point, or in Blender origin. Those three arrows corresponding to 3 axes. So once you detach a geometry from another geometry, it saves the pivot point. You need to reset it for your interior. So let's select our interior, and you will see this moving. You need to place it in the center of your interior. So go back to object mode, right click, set origin to geometry, and notice how in upright your coordinates will shift, because this point of interest serves the point of coordinates. Set origin to geometry. Oop, we see the coordinates shifted, and only now, only here, you can start to record your coordinates. Now we could create the same YMap file and do it automatically, but I want you guys to feel this in your grasp. I don't want you guys to rely on automatic tools too much. So let us work with our hands just a little. Literally open up your notepad and record those coordinates. Like so. And remember that your rotation is also matters. So we'll do like Z minus 21. Let's actually name it somehow. Very first MLO shell. So shell is how we call walls, ceiling, and the floor. Kind of self-explanatory, right? Shell. So what I usually do is something like this. And now it's easy to understand. You have your object name, you have your coordinates and your rotation, and it will be easy to paste into CodeWalker. From here, you can delete your YMap. You don't need it anymore. We only needed it for coordinates. Now, you can reset transformation for your exterior. So what you can do is just literally 0, 0, 0, so your exterior goes back. You have to zero things down before exporting. And for our interior, obviously, once we recorded the correct and precise coordinates and rotation values, you can zero it down as well. And it's not comfortable to work like this, right? So what you can do is isolate selection, select it, and point. Hotkey is point on the keyboard. Oh. So point here, point back. It's isolate selection, right? From here, we are pretty much done. This is the end of visual part editing. So we edited our exterior. We have exactly a great cut made, some texture editing done, our custom textures assigned, and we recorded our coordinates, which is relatively the hardest step, arguably. Now, one important understanding if you're new to gaming, if you go inside your interior, you actually have your floor, you actually have your walls, and you bump into them. Now this thing is called collision, your boundary. We must create collision ourselves. It's not automatic. In order to do that, let's dive into that step. There are hidden mysteries in that. I will show you in a second. Now that I think of it, actually what I wanted to show you first, guys, is how room division works in GTA, because it's extremely crucial. Rooms in GTA is not physical rooms you have in your real life. I need to show you guys how to create second room of in your interior, so you understand how the technicals of it work in game. This is what defines professional. So let's say I want to create another room. Let's select the edges here, Control R, then move your mouse to add edges. I need 2. Then let's move them to Y, somewhere like this. Make sure your geometry doesn't overlap like that. Then I select all of those edges. I move them closer again. I don't like different height here, so I go Z like this. Or actually, I don't need them this high, this low. And I'll just extrude it to X like so. This will be our custom room. We remove this polygon because it's looking into the wall. We don't need it. It's not optimized. Now let's move this a little. So we have a bigger room here. And I'm actually gonna scale it inwards so that it's not that big of a wall. Now we have to paste our door inside because we need to make our doorway. How are we gonna do that? And the answer is You go to a website called Pleb Masters, link is going to be in the description, and you literally type any prop you want to find, let's say door, then go to objects, and just copy name of any doors that you like. Let's not look for it for too long. Let's say this is the one we want. Copy. Go back to CodeWalker RP Explorer like always. Find it. Export the XML. Import it to your CodeWalker. Hope we already see it in here. So you don't need all the collisions and stuff like that. So go where it's you see the this green triangle and go Alt P, clear selection, just removes this hierarchy, so you just don't need it. You only need that like the model itself, so you can position it and cut your doorway. So literally just move it. You can move it like so, or traditionally with a pivot point like this. It really doesn't matter. So after you have positioned it, let's say this is the way I want my door to function. Again, as you may have guessed, just use knif to cut here, 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 and there. Now that you have your hole ready, what you want to do is go to face orientation here and make sure everything inside is blue. Oop, and everything outside is red. Oop, I see this is red. What's wrong? So I turn this off and I see there's actually no polygons here, so I must add some. First things first, let's delete our floor because it's too much length. We don't need it, it's extensive. Remove it and just build your doorway by clicking F. You guys know that. Oop. And same story for this. And now you have your doorway and your room ready with the door we have selected. And by the way, coordinates of the door already recorded here. We will be just able to just copy and paste them into our game. All right. Now after that's done, click Tab 1A, Alt H, A, 1, merge vertices by distance. It will merge all the vertices. If you have shading issues, stuff like that going on, that means I have a polygon here that's not needed. I need to unwrap this again. And then you have to shade smooth by angle. And the angle, 40 degrees, 45 degrees, whatever you want. Now, if even that didn't help and thing goes south after you welded all of your vertices, which you should do for optimization purpose, go to modifier tab, this range here. Modifiers are ways to interact with your geometry in a fun way. So for modifier, look for weighted normal, click it, and things usually fix themselves. If not, try and play with the settings a little bit. After that's done, go back to object mode and click apply, enter. All right, now after our room is established, let's finally go into how to make our collision. So luckily, creating collision is simple as hell. What you do is select your geometry and press Shift D. Now this literally copy and paste your object, but we don't need to move it. If you were to click it somewhere, that's where it stays. Instead, hit Shift D and right click. This way it copies but goes back in its place. And now if I select it, we have multiple objects in the same spot. Why do I have to copy the geometry of our model? Because if you think of it, the collision, when you bump into the wall, when you bump into the glass, is exactly where the model is. That's why it should follow the geometry exactly. With specification though, when your geometry is too dense, you obviously need to optimize it by removing unnecessary edges, because collision doesn't care about how it looks. It's invisible. It's the boundary itself. The visual part is just the model. So try and optimize your collision as much as possible, keeping it as simple as possible polygon wise. Next thing you're gonna do is let's rename shit, so we don't forget what's what. So our collision, let's just remove shell and leave it very first MLO. So very first MLO is our collision, and the very first MLO shell is our geometry, visual part. You guys will see how that makes sense in a second. What you do next is, as I told you, collision is invisible. It doesn't need any materials. So you go to your materials, again for your collision, and you delete every single material you have. It doesn't need any. It's invisible. Let's isolate it by pressing point. Now we only have this in our scene, and it's a very blurry stuff going on. What we actually have to achieve here is set up correct collision IDs and collision materials. This is why I created this artificial room division. In order to do that, select the polygons you want to be interacting with. So in our case, let's select all the polygons and assign collision material. Go to Sollumz tools by pressing N, and close your drawballs. We're now working with collision, so you open your collision tab and go to create collision material, because we're creating collision material. Now if your collision would be concrete, make concrete everywhere. If you want wood, search wood. If you want metal, search metal. Okay, it's as simple as that, literally. Plastic, it's all there. So in our case, let's make it all concrete. Create collision material, assign it. Then, just for the purpose of showing you how this works, for my floor here, I'm gonna make it so that's wood. I'll show you guys in game how this matters. And for this floor, we're gonna have to create separate collision as well. So let's make it concrete again, or metal, it doesn't matter. Depends on what your shader is, right? Create collision material. Now, where magic begins. If I were to go to any interior, think of it, how would the game understand where to transfer the player to the interior, where to deload the outside world, where to start loading hundreds of objects inside the interior? Now this system is called portals. How do they look? They don't teleport anything into nothing. Portals, you can consider it a render window, alright? So if I select my interior, there's a lot of things going on. You might be scared, but don't be scared. What you see here, what you should be paying attention, is this blue rectangle. Now blue rectangle is where you enter your interior or your room. If you see here, every single room is divided into those blue boxes. Now if you enter this interior, this room from here to here, the game understands, oh shit, the player is over here. I must not load what's here on the roof, or this room, or even the outside world. So that works by crossing this rectangle portal, alright? So that once you are here, nothing behind you is loading, even though the whole interior is loaded into your memory already. Now you may see how that's extremely wise and cool, and this is the reason why GTA 5 works so great even on weakest of PCs today. So our goal is to simply establish the same system. Let's do it. Now how do you control these settings? Now in order to do that, go to your collision material, because if you think of it, when does the game understand where the player is? By the collision of its feet, of pet's feet. So you need to control it through collision. It's as simple as that. You select the floor of your collision, of your room 1. This is our first room, room 1. You navigate down to Sollumz tab, and this is where you have your room ID. Simple as that. Well, this is our first room, so room ID 1. But our second room is over here. This is why I told you the division is artificial. It has to be there. We could have made this whole thing into one room, but it wouldn't be optimized. This is what defines professional from rookie. Now for this, let's make it wood. And for wood, let's make it sure that it's room ID 2. Now the game will understand when player is in this room, it's room ID 1, all the props from room 2 shouldn't load. And vice versa, while you're here, it's room ID 2. All the props from room 1 doesn't load because the pet's collision of its feet touches the collision of the room with room ID 2. Think of it for a second and you will find it's actually extremely simple. Alright? Now, we are pretty much finished, and I'm telling you, literally finished with our collision, with how this hard setup system works, and our visual part, meaning the model itself. Last thing you're gonna need to do before we dive into technical stuff is convert our models into GTA format. So select your collision, which is MLO, go V in your object mode, V, convert to composite, which basically means convert to collision type. You can see it changed. Now go make sure you have your model selected. I'm hitting point on my keyboard. Go again V, convert to drawable, which again means convert to model basically. Now those two are ready to be exported. Don't do it just now. So when it comes to collision, what you can actually control, let's talk about little quick. We can actually control how your collision material interacts with the player. How do we do that? You can select anything like any dumb wall. Go where it says poly mesh, scroll down where it set up our room ID, but our walls doesn't hold room ID, we don't need it. It was just a concrete material. And you go to collision flags, and for this it's quite self-explanatory. Stairs is for stairs, not climbable means you can't jump through it, see through, shoot through, it's for glass. Not cover means you can't press Q to hide behind it. No decals means there's no bullet marks. Let's press some of those so you guys see what it does in game. Again, that's neat, you don't really need it. Sometimes you do. Anyways, that's cool. Now let's dive into technical part. Let's unhide everything. Now the technical part is extremely important and perhaps the hardest one. So think of it that way. We have just established our visual part, our collision, and we finished with texturing, coordinates, etc. What's very important to do right now is make sure that the game understands your interior as interior instance called MLO, and that this hard system of portals that's supposed to be maintained works in game. So that will be literally the last part of the video. Let's dive into it. Now let's hide everything but our interior. So this is, I remind you, collision, and shell is visual part, the model itself. What you do now is go to Sollumz tab and Sollumz tools, and the last tab is archetype, which means we're finished. Go archetype, and let's scroll it a little. Just hit plus, create new YTYP file. It's called YTYP. Just remember that, doesn't mean anything. And let's name it. I usually try and keep naming the same, but very first MLO archetype. So it's our interior name plus what it is, which is archetype. And what you do now is, and it's extremely important to click these things. I click them. I will explain it in a second. What you do is you click to your shell, and you click when it says base, make sure it's based, auto create from selected. Now all of this here, you don't even need to understand what it does nowadays. I will explain it though before we export it, just so you guys understand what's going on. But after you've done that, what you should do next is interconnect the collision and the interior between each other, so that the game understands they're one. In order to do that, you click to your MLO, which I remind you is collision, and instead of base, we named it MLO, click MLO. And again, with your collision selected, auto create from selected. Now this opens whole another area of settings. We're gonna talk about them a little quick. This is very simple. You guys will see in a second. This is the place where you divide your rooms artificially, whether you want to have 1 room, 2 rooms, or 3 rooms. So since we already divided our rooms into 2 with our collision room IDs, let's create those 2 rooms physically. inside the archetype data. How do we do that? Well, where you see your rooms, click few pluses for our two rooms, room 1, room 2. It's even called like that. But another thing you have to do is create limbo room. Now, why do you have to do that? It's better to even create limbo room and then create your two rooms. Let's make it room 1 so you guys understand the hierarchy here, the order. So room 1 is room ID 1, room 2 is room ID 2, while limbo is room ID 0. So if you think of it, while you are inside interior, you are in its world in a way. So while you exit it into room 0 actually. So limbo is outside world. You simply switch rooms for game into room 0. But when you are inside interior, switch between 1 to 32 rooms. 32 is max. So let's create those portals that I showed you in CodeWalker. If you go to interior instance, select your interior, you see those portals. Just 4 dots there. Let's create them. So in order to create them, go to Portals tab. It's extremely easy nowadays. Click plus. Now go to Edit Mode. Select in Vertex mode for vertices starting from bottom right. It's extremely important. With your shift selected, select for vertices and update from vertices. And you will see your coordinates here updated. You will see it's even depicted here with this arrow pointing outwards. This is how it has to be. Now we also have to add portal for our window. If we don't add portal to our window, it will not render. The outside world will not render. You can test it for yourself. It would be an interesting exercise. But I'm going to try and do things correctly. So we add another portal and make sure bottom right, 4 corners, update. So as I told you, portals don't teleport anything into nothing. Those are render windows. If you don't have portals, the game will not simply understand when to render the interior and it will not render it. But while you're inside interior, with it already rendered, if you don't add portal to your window, the game will not understand to render the outside world. So it will consider this a wall. That's why you have to add those portals. But again, a bit of complication here. You have to make sure the game understands from where to where your portal leads. So portal number 1, when you're inside interior, leads from first room to outside world. Outside world meaning limbo. So when selecting your portal, go down room from 1 to limbo. So your entrance, your window in the same room is always 1 to 0. Okay, from 1 to limbo to 0. Okay, because those two are the entrances. But once we go and establish our last portal here, let me hide our ceiling a little bit. When we go inside establish our last portal, create the portal, update from vertices. It's not 1 to 0 as you may have guessed. It's now from 2. Let me scroll a little. From 2 to 1. It is extremely crucial so that the coordinates are correct and that the direction is correct. All right, that probably weren't too simple. Like think of it as 4 dots that connect into rectangle, that when your character passes, it deloads the props from the other room. That's literally that. And you just have to specify when the room switch happens. So from where to where it happens. Again, from 1 to 0, from 1 to 0, from 2 to 1. All right. Now literally the last thing you have to do is specify the boundary of your interior. So I told you how boundaries work. Those boxes in CodeWalker, right? The white boxes. Pretty much have to specify this for your interior so that the game understands what the render boundary is of your game. And again, back in the day we had to do it manually with our hands by editing the XMLs. This is quite simple and easy nowadays. Literally just follow my steps. go to your room 1, go to your edit mode, select polygons, and just make sure you select something on your width and on your height that establishes your room 1. So how it calculates your width, your height. All right, I'm gonna calculate this box right here. It's all geometry and stuff like that. And you set bounds from selection. All right, they updated right here. And for your second room, same story goes here. Your height, that would be bad example. Height would be this, and width would be this. Select your room 2, set bounds from selection, and it's done. Now your limbo room would be your whole interior boundary box. All right. Now I know it's crazy to think of it, guys, but we are done. If you were to master this, you would be already better than 90% of current modders, sadly. Now let's efficiently export this whole thing so that we can open this in our game. All right. So once we are in our Y-type tab, export Y-type XML and export it to the destination that we have created. Our custom very first MLO progress 1. So always save your steps, I remind you. Export XML progress 1. Now let's unhide everything. Point alt H. And now select your exterior, because we cut out our exterior. If you remember, we need to update this model. Select your collision, which is MLO, by hitting Control, and select your shell, which is your visual part. Now go V export selected objects, limited to selected objects, and to progress 1 export. If there are no errors, you followed my steps exactly. If there are some errors, you likely fucked up the hierarchy over here somewhere. Make sure you pay attention to it. Now, if we were to go to that folder 1, what we see is a bunch of files here. If we open our YBN XML, YDR, we can literally see the geometry, the vertex data, etc., etc. But let's open the Y-type XML. Now this here, if you think of it, you see this boundary box, texture dictionary, asset type, asset name, physics dictionary. All of those is literally what you see right here. When you select your shell. All right, so we literally just type a bunch of shit here automatically, and we literally can manually edit it with our hand. That's how we used to do that back in the days. And inside here again, we see our room limbo with our boundary box, portal count 2, because, well, we have 2 portals in one room. Room 1 has 3 portals, portal count is 3. This is our room 2, this is our portal 1, portal 2, portal 3, and as simple as that. Don't be afraid to open the XMLs. It's fairly simple, right? Now what you do is, in order for game to understand, so I told you when we open CodeWalker, it loads a bunch of DLC. Now you have to understand your interior never existed before in the game. So you have to let CodeWalker understand to load it on boot. In order to do that, we have to create our custom DLC in CodeWalker XML. In order to do that, some do in mods folder. I don't like doing that. Instead, I just add my custom DLCs to DLC packs. So just do what I do. It's just gonna work. It's correct. Don't be afraid. Enable your edit mode. Go to update x64 DLC packs. Now inside your DLC packs, just right click anywhere, new folder, and call it like first project, whatever. It doesn't matter, just keep it English letters. Enter it and just follow my steps. Don't even think of it. Create DLC RPF archive called DLC. This is archive that Rage Engine uses, much like zip would be, you know, but just for GTA. Then you create a folder called x64. You create a folder called levels. Inside here, create a folder called GTA 5. I know you have so many questions inside here. You get an archive called whatever you want, but let's call it first project MLO. So we only have to do this once. We have established our custom add-on DLC so that CodeWalker can read our files, and only inside here the magic happens because we exported our XMLs so that Blender understands them. But when we drag and drop them from XML format into our custom DLC format, they all convert into GTA type. YDR, YTYP, YDR is our interior model, YTYP is our metadata, YBN is our collision, YDR is edited vanilla exterior. We can open them all up if you guys want. Alright. So again, just convert the XML we just saw in Notepad. And that's basically it. Now let's open our CodeWalker, make sure it works and test it in game and see how we actually decorate interior, add props. The fun part actually, the fun part left. Now one thing I forgot to tell you guys in the middle of this whole explanation is that we actually have to spawn our interior into one of the rooms. Now you might think, how does it make sense? It actually makes sense in a way that you have to spawn it in your limbo room, because the interior itself has to be spawned somewhere in the world coordinates, right? And limbo is the outside world coordinates. How do you actually do that? You go to N, open up your MLO. Inside your MLO, you go to Entities, select your shell, so your very visual part, you add as an entity of your interior. It will be the very base, that's why it's a shell. Add object as entity, and now you just specify room limbo. So it's now placed inside room 0. Now literally just export XML, replace it, and reopen CodeWalker. Now once you launch your CodeWalker, make sure in this top right arrows you have enable mods and DLCs. Otherwise it will not add or read your add-on DLC into the software. So let's go to the pin cage, see if our exterior worked, if our changes took place. Okay, it works. It's funny how this looks here. Some decals left, we can select it later on, remove it. So we see it works. If you were to remove your exterior from these files, you wouldn't be able to read it first, and then it would just load vanilla model, which is unedited. That's why you have to keep things as a .dlc somewhere. So now once we're here, let's actually spawn our interior. Go Control N, File, New FiveM file, because I told you interior is found in the outside world. It actually makes sense, right? New entity, and then important, you write here not the model name, which would be true to any other case other than exterior. For interior, for interior you type collision name, Control V, and it's here. You guys see it's all purple. What is going on? What's happened? We can discuss in a second. But before that, again, the issue of pasting it in. Oh, what happens? How do we do that? Well, I remind you that we have recorded our coordinates later on, earlier on. So you copy your coordinates to position, and after you do that, where it's at, should be somewhere here. It's actually 58 here instead of 8. I copied that wrong, but that's all right. And now I remind you that we need 21 degrees rotation. So again, we can do that manually. Rotation snapping by 1 degree. And let's rotate it around until it's 21. Oh, exactly 21. I can see it here. And it matches perfectly here. Now, if you have these render issues, just CodeWalker, save your FiveM first. Let's save it to some folder. And call it, what I usually call it is my interior name. First, how did we call it? Very first MLO. Placement. Alright. Now you close your project. And, well, you open it again into the same area you saved it. And now there is no render issues. We see it perfectly. We see it purpley. Let's fix this issue real quick. but even now we can already see it's efficient and it's working. So what is this purplish connected to? Now the reason it's purple is that if we select our walls, if we go to shader, what it says is tint palettes texture pal. That means that it will switch the actual color to the color on the palette texture. It's one byte color like pink, green, whatever. It's set over here. But let's not dive into hard stuff right now. You can test it later on. We can either switch it to any other or delete palette color texture. But simply, let's create our own texture. Like always, go to Sollumz. Just remove everything except our default shaders we created ourselves. That's our floor. And hit Control I to inverse selection. And let's create new shader. That's called, let's say, default assign. And as for the texture, let's just select another texture that I have here. Oop, why not? UV editing, A, Q projection, scale, and that's alright. Now in here, last thing is you have to set up your vertex color. Now vertex color is something that defines how your object interacts with the light. If you think of it, how do you manipulate how things look during day, during night? Nowadays you'd say ray tracing, but 10-15 years back. So you have to add color attributes that control how things look during day, during night. How does this actually work? Hit plus for your color attributes under data. Click face corner by color, name it color 1. And as for the color itself, this is what defines it. So for RGB, if you go full green, it's gonna be bright, same bright, static bright, all time of day. If you go 111, it's gonna be super bright, glowing bright everywhere. If you go 000, it's gonna be dark, super dark everywhere. If it's gonna be red, then it's gonna be super dynamic. So it's super dark during night, super bright during day. So balance is good, like experiment with those, but what's usually done is just somewhere like 06, 07 for the whole interior. So it's somewhat dark, somewhat alright. And now the trick, let's establish how to create our own texture dictionary for the interior. In order to do that, go to Material tab and embed our textures into the model first. So what this does is exports your model along with the texture itself. So how does this work? Select your shell, export it to step 3. This is why it's important to keep steps. And if we go to step 3, wait, what? Selected objects, step 3. No Sollumz object found to select. I think that's because I don't have it selected. That's dumb. Now we export it again. Now you go there, and inside here you see your textures. This is why we embedded them. Now you see those textures. We embedded them in order to create our own texture dictionary. This is where the textures of all of your interior will be stored. And let's name it very first MLO TXD. So that just means inside here all of your textures will be stored. So literally just open these things up and just add these textures here. Now after you add them, just save. That's alright, don't mind that when you're editing your own files. And inside here you now have your textures, so you don't need to have them embedded into your model. Otherwise you stream them twice. So you unembed them back. This is the trick. And export your model again. Now if you go back here, it's only the raw geometry data without the textures. We already saved our textures, everything that's used inside here. Now this model is empty, no textures. So what we're gonna do, we now have to link our YTD to our YDR. Now, how is that done? Again, that's done within the YTYP file. I told you that's the metadata itself. You go back to your very Y type again, and you select your shell, your model. But it says texture dictionary, it takes the texture dictionary from itself, which is wrong. We just switched it from embedded to texture dictionary. Now that it's done, simply export your XML to step number 3. So you see how many steps it took even for me to do so correctly. Step 1. So with that's done, now if we open our shell, it should connect the textures automatically, but it's whatever. You guys see that it's written all over here. Now if we close our CodeWalker, I remind you I saved my Y map where my interior is placed. My Y maps that I saved, I'm gonna drag and drop into this destination, and let's open our CodeWalker again. In my folder, let's call it folder 4. Let me just drag and drop all of those files so I can just navigate and open them, because why would I create a new one? I just saved my own Y map. I'm just gonna open it again. Now that we are inside game with our DLC and mods enabled, you go to your folder you have just copied, open files, and you open your Y map and YTYP. You hit your plus sign, go to teleport, hold Z to zoom in, but not too much so you can still move around. And now you see our textures working, no purple stuff. You can also see our portals here, our window, our entrance, our second room. So now, last part I promise, we're basically done. What you have to do now is, let me actually show you. If we were to run here to pin cage, to our magnificent interior cutout in game, you will see that actually working. Oh wow, that's great. Let me enter. Oh, that doesn't work because there is a collision here that we didn't remove yet. It's a vanilla collision because obviously the game didn't know we're gonna add our own interior here. So let's quickly learn how to remove vanilla collisions from the places where your interior would be. Open up your CodeWalker, go back to that spot you have with your interior, go to collision mode. Now you have all your collision here. Control N to open your project. You can just select your collision, start moving it. Obviously we don't want to be doing this in CodeWalker. You just go to selection and copy the name of the object, so you can simply find it and export it. Let's export it to initial folder where all the raw files are, but don't hurry up, because inside here we have another collision here, which is part of one object, and I think that's it. Yep, just 2. Most of the times it's 1 or 2 collisions. When it says hi at, this is for bullets. Now inside Blender you import back, you just import first time your collisions, and the thing about collisions is that they're positioned in the world coordinate, so they're over here. Now how are we supposed to cut out our interior precisely? Well, we have the coordinates for it. So for your shell, just go to properties. Again, we could have just imported, well, let's do that instead. Actually, just import your Y map inside, and now we have our interior pasted in correctly, so we can easily remove our collisions, vanilla collisions, but we actually won't be removing them, we will be scaling them. So use scaling tool, hotkey S, and scale it on one axis for Y, let's say. Disable my snaps, go Y. So if I see my axis is incorrect, I type Y 2 times, or X in this case, and it will adjust the axis to local coordinate system versus global axis system. Now you go Shift D to copy, double X, so that this collision should be covered as well. If I fully remove it, it wouldn't work. So I scale on X. What you should do is maintain the vanilla collision while just having your holes cut out. Okay. Well, realistically, what we should do is cut out the window as well, right? So it should be looking something like that. Shift D for copy, Z, go Z. Then you paste collisions here, Shift D, go Z, scale it on Y, on X, like so, go X, so very great. You should paste collision here as well. I can't be bothered right now, but you can see that it's working. And last thing here is that we have our bullet collision. Let me make sure just bullet collision is shown. And for the bullet collision, oops, actually what's that? No, that's bullet collision, that's all right. We need to make sure that it's deleted. Delete. And this one right here is for bullet collision, delete as well. Okay, now that we cut out our collision, sort of, we can finally enter. So let's export our high collision and pad collision. Export selected objects to folder 4. Export. Import to CodeWalker RPF Explorer. And it's done. Now let me actually show you how to position props inside your interior. So, Control N. Go to our folder 4 with all of our files. You can just open folder instead of opening files, and it will just open you every single file in your scene. What you can do is under options, disable render GTA 5 map. My interior disappeared as well. It's CodeWalker bug, it shouldn't have. We're back, so now we don't have, it's in the same coordinates, but we don't have vanilla map distorting our view. So how do you add props? First things first, you just go to your Y type. So Y type is where your props are located. And there here you see our room division, you see our portal division, and it's perfect. Well, let's add some props to room 1. You select room 1, add entity. Which prop? So again, you go back to Lab Masters and you search for, let's say, plant. You copy some dump plant, you paste it here. Okay, that's looking great, honestly. Then you go to your room 2, which I remind you is this, add entity. Let this just be an egg. Now if I turn this to night, it's really dark. I don't like the eye, so let's try and search for the light source. Just literally type light. So not every light model will actually have light source. So let's try this one, for example. Let's copy it. You can just shift drag to copy object in the same room and just paste it. Oh, this one has light. It's weird. Very weird. So you can drag it to your ceiling, and let's select some other light that you like. For example, maybe something like this would work. You should just replace your name. Yeah, this is way brighter. You can rotate it if you want. Now after you're done, what you have to do is save your YTYP file, because you have edited it with props. One last thing, actually, we added doors early on, so our doors should be attached to the portal. If you go to interior instance and select your interior here, you have to attach your portal to the door so that the game understands where the door is closed and where it's locked to optimize things up properly. Add entity, and I think we have this in Blender, right? So this is our door name. Just copy. Oop, the game doesn't like when it's like this. The game doesn't like capital letters. So when you paste it like it should be, it's alright. But about the coordinates, I told you we didn't move them. We didn't move the door an inch. If we go there, it's exactly where it's supposed to be. So you literally just copy those coordinates manually with your hands. So you probably start to feel how this works by now, the workflow between the softwares, how they complement each other. This is what cool people on NoPixel do. So this is how this works. Alright, we attached it to Portal. We might adjust it inward slightly. Now that we actually finished with placing props, the last thing we have to do is save our Y type and click Tools, Manifest Generator, Generate. Manifest just simply tells the game this interior never existed before, this archetype data is add-on, load it into a separate DLC like some heist or whatever, you know, so that the game knows to load it into your memory. Literally generate, save manifest. It's called manifest FiveM, nothing else you have to do about it, just generate and save. If the interior doesn't appear in your game, your manifest is wrong. Now, how to stream it into your game like FiveM. Now, if you would want to stream it to single player, you just drag and drop the DLC RPF, right? But how do you stream it to FiveM for crew server makers? Go to resources folder in your FiveM folder, then go new folder, call it first MLO Blender Crazy. Inside here, create a folder called stream. Inside here, create a text document called fxmanifest.lua. Don't try to make sense of it, just do what I do, not much else, and copy paste this info. It's standard. I will leave a link to this in the description. You just copy paste it, don't need to type it manually, and inside streaming folder you just copy and paste all of your files. Now last step is you open your server.cfg and just type ensure resource name. Now let's dive into game and see how that looks. Now once we are a game at last, we see it working, we see our custom props, we see that our window is correct, we can pass through. That's insane. Our door is over here, nothing disappears. But if you still encounter issues, like if you rotate around and things disappear, what you must do is go to your CodeWalker, and sometimes buildings, well, most of the times have occlusion in them. And occlusion is, if you go to occlusion mode, is just a box that's placed inside the building. How does this work? So if your pet is over here, obviously nothing behind the building should be loaded into his memory. So all of here is deloaded. That's why obviously Rockstar didn't count on your pinkish model interior being here. So you have to open up your CodeWalker project and remove this red occlusion in this case. Just delete it if you're doing it for FiveM. Like literally delete. But if you're doing it for single player, don't delete it, drag it under the map like so. Select this control and drag it under the map, and you will see no issues with props in your interior rendering or not rendering. Let's make it night. Make sure our interior is looking somewhat good at night. Our lights are working, and we will see that it doesn't look that bad from here, right? Imagine if every door had entrance like this. Someone should make a mod like this. Now inside here you see emissive that shouldn't be there. The thing is, when you turn into the night, emissive windows appear, and it's no big issue. You can just right click, select this object, move it as well. Finally, when you go down to it and edit it out in Blender like we just did. Now what a blast this was to make this video. I'm gonna have a great fun editing all those bits. It's gonna be amazing. Thank you guys for sticking in. Thank you for your curiosity. I never thought it would come this far. Type your questions in the comments. Join my Discord channel where I help fellow modders like myself. Thank you a lot for all this road, for coming this far. I hope I will be around in GTA 6 times. I want to be, but let's see how this goes. Thank you guys. Thank you for everything. And I guess, take care. Goodbye.